areas which I overlooked last week because of the time. For example, we have looked at the introduction entirely, which is a key aspect of any research, be it a thesis or be it a paper that is high quality journal. Introduction plays a key important role, particularly for us, the reviewers. First, we look at the introduction. If your introduction catches our attention, then we'll be able to read throughout we'll be able to read through your manuscript. But in a situation whereby your introduction is not well written, will not have like interest in reading the article. So today I will we'll go briefly on this issue on methodology, which is also important aspect in terms of research, be it a thesis or be it a paper. So introduction it differs in terms of the focus of your research. What are the major aspects of your research? For example, whether you are in sciences, whether you are in social sciences, or whether you are in agriculture. Although our basic or our background is basically on agriculture and environmental sciences, so here we give a brief guide because methodology differs. Some they use spatial-temporal aspect like geospatial modeling, and some they use high-quality statistical tools like regression analysis, correlation. Some they use like Bayesian models when they are doing their research, and some they use qualitative methodology. For example, like grounded theory method, which is purely qualitative. So entirely in our case, for example, if you want to have an experiment in a plot, for example, you establish a rise up plot, you want to have an experiment. In your methodology, you start with basic details. You do other laboratory work, for example, those in sciences or those in agriculture, they do the field experiment where you have your location, you have your farm. First, you need to have like coordinates of your farm where you have latitudinal and longitudinal location of that particular place. Then you have control randomized plot, or you have a split plot. You have your own control experiment. So, in a particular plot, maybe you add nitrogen. In other plot, you add P. In other plot, you add K. So you have your own control plot, for example, where you added MPK together. So you observe the changes. So also the treatment details, you need to account for the treatment details in plot this, plot A, plot B, plot C. We have this kind of treatment. We apply N here, we apply K here, we apply P here. Then in our control plot, we apply MPK. And what are the treatment details? Maybe ratio 15, 15, 10, 15, 5, 5, 5, something like that. Then also you need a number of replications per treatment. How you replicate your treatment is also very important in framing your methodology. Then subject details. Then what are your subject? That is the focus of your research. What is in question? For example, we gave example last week on rice, which is our subject, which is the focus. Then we need to have the details. What are the varieties? For example, different types of variety of rice. For example, I'm more into oil palm. We have three varieties of oil palm, like Dura, Tenera, and Fisifera. So we need to take details of this, which one we use, and the variety. Then also agronomic input, fertilizer, irrigation, scheduling, all this has to be taken into account while writing your methodology. Then also uh, greenhouse data, for example, when you are using greenhouse for your crop production, so you need to take all these control variables that are used in the greenhouse, because in greenhouse you need to monitor the intensity of sunlight, the temperature also need to be monitored, the humidity also need to be monitored. You need to record all these things. Then laboratory analysis to be performed with a detailed procedure in case of thesis and the brief in case of publication. So If you perform a laboratory analysis or field trial per se, or maybe for those in the social sciences, or they go to the field, they have an interview with the respondents. So you need to have details, procedure, how you do this, how you do this, that, how you do the process has to be recorded. So when you go to thesis, you present it um, holistically, meaning that you cannot give a brief summary of it. You need to present it in details. But when it comes to publication, that's paper is more of a summary form. So you need to provide summary of that what you have done, the summary of the methodology, because usually paper is more of professionals. So once you read, you'll be able to grab the message that has been, or the message that you want to convey to the audience. So there is a big difference in terms of communication of your findings. So this is a brief about the methodology, but we all know that our method differs. That is why we did not give a detailed explanation here, be it in social sciences, be it in sciences, be it in agriculture. So you have to give a detailed process right from the beginning to the end on how you achieve your findings. So also there is one particular area of interest which we have not covered last week because of time. Uh, when selecting articles to be used, these are particularly related to journals articles. There is this model SQL model for journal selection using subject treatment and parameter. Once you want to select which article that I want to use to write my journal article, because I wanted to go for Q1, I wanted to publish in Q2, Q3, or Q4 article so that I can have like international recognition as a scholar. So one has to be very careful in selecting which journal to be used. For example, as I made mention last week, that our journals that we publish at home, they don't have international audience. Usually, these journals are only cited in Nigeria per se, because even outside Nigeria, it's hardly to see people that citing our journals. So our focus is to deviate from this culture of publishing. You pay 30,000 naira and your article is being published. Just small token, and then we copy and paste, copy and paste, copy and paste. And sometimes there are instances that also you get article from another person, you just remove his name, paraphrase the title, you understand, remove the name of the authors, put your name, this and that. And also the idea of just include my name in your article, although this practice is happening almost everywhere, but there is control to it. You have to contribute in terms of writing, in terms of data collection, in terms of analysis. At least you need to give contribution, because high quality journals, there is specific section declaration where you give account of author's contribution. That's also author give contribution to that. So having said that, you need to understand that grading journals is very important in terms of similarity to your research area or research topic per se, which you want to write, particularly a journal article. If you want to write, for example, the impact of climate change on oil palm per se, so you need to get articles closely related to that particular topic. Then you need at least similarity. That is, you grade them grade A, grade B, grade C, grade D. Thus, grade A articles are the ones that have similarity with your research or with your proposed topic. That 80 to 100% similar. That is the subject, which is your subject area. That, for example, you want to talk on oil palm, the subject is there, then the treatment, then the parameter. What do you want to apply, the kind of methodology, and what are the parameters you want to see? That you want to look at the impact of temperature, rainfall, precipitation, and the rest. So if that article has this attribute, then that means there is more or less similar to you, 80 to 100%. That this article can be categorized as grade A article because it's more related to your research area. Then we have grade B. Grade B also is part of similarity, which is 60% percent similar to your own research area. So that is, the subject is almost similar, the treatment is almost similar, and the parameter which you are going to apply to see the impact of climate change on oil palm production is almost as similar. So also grade C, quality, that the quality of the article, that the article is indexed in Q1 to Q4, Scopus index. Here is also another issue. Usually, when it comes to, to quality of article, usually is very rare to see that in a particular settings, for example, university, polytechnic, or or colleges where you have a number of lecturers that publish in Q1 or Q4. Someone told me a few weeks ago that in their own university, I don't want to mention the university, but it was a geography department, he was the only one with the Scopus who published in Scopus, and he only published one journal in Scopus. And the university was a second generation university in Nigeria, that is around during the IBB time, I think, was established, I think, around that time. So you see where we have been left behind in terms of research globally. So also to make a global impact, one has to work hard to see that we improve in our publication. I'll come back and discuss this later. So grade C, we look at the quality of the article. So you look at the article that are either indexed in Scopus or indexed in Web of Science, which are the two recognized databases globally. Then grade D, the latest. That is this article, latest article. For example, in this 2023, we do normally consider articles, let's say, 5 years behind. Let's say from 2022, 2021. But when you are writing a literature review, we consider decadal trend. Maybe we can take from 2000 to 2023, 2024, but we will look at that when we come to the aspect of how to write a literature review article. So these are the three key components or four key components to consider when selecting your articles for writing a journal article. So also I want to talk about this JCR index Q1 to Q4. I know among the audience, most of us are in most of us are in either master level or degree level. There is this politics in publication. If you want to make a significant impact and get a scholarship, particularly in everywhere in the world, uh, please consider publishing your article in SCI journal, Science Citation Index, or Social Science Citation Index. On you can find the list of these relevant journals on Web of Science. Because globally, if you want to go or if you want to live, say, this country and make impact outside Nigeria, and you can easily get scholarship and you can beat almost a global competition, you go for SCI journal, particularly Q1, Q2. You restrict yourself there, but has never been easy to publish there. But once you have one, two, and maximum five, if you have them, you can beat almost every competition. You can apply for almost every scholarship and you can get it. So this is brief I can say about the SQL model. We go to our own. We discussed about this last week. Okay. Today we will look at result writing technique. Salaudin, am I on the right path? This is what we discussed this night, right?
Yes, I think so, doctor.
All right, all right. So our writing result is particularly very important in either thesis or journal writing. And this is one of the most important key areas where we should give emphasis. One has to be understand that in my research I use five parameters. So I use five parameters or five different parameters in my research. So how do I present the result so that it can attract the examiners or it can attract the reviewers and I can present it perfectly. So this is what we are going to look at today. You in thesis and in papers we have section that you present result in terms of tabular forms or in terms of figures. There are some mistakes made by students to my understanding and also to my observations that once there are kind of data that you can only present it in tabular form. For example, when you have regression analysis where you see the correlation between these variables. For example, when you look at the impact of temperature, rainfall, humidity, precipitation, and maybe wind on particular crop, let's say rice, their impact on rice production. So you have your correlation analysis, you have your correlation table. You see that that result is particularly good in terms of tabular form. But also, if you want to see the trend of a particular situation, for example, the trend of production. So that one can be presented in a figure form. For example, the kind of yield we obtained in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, up to 2023. What are the kind of yield that we have obtained in that particular period? So that one can be plot using trend because we want to see the changes. You know, when you plot it, you see that the trend is going up, somewhere is going down, somewhere is going up, somewhere is straight. So you'll be able to understand that yes, in 2000 we have high yield, while in 2025 we have lower yield, but 2022 due to high rainfall we have high yield. So you can easily be able to see the trend. That is for the figures or for the graph. Then also table and figure should have a brief and self-explanatory title. This is also important. You give important title to these tables or figures that once the examiner or the reviewer reads can be able to understand what you are trying to convey. Then also it should stand alone that can be read and understood by either reviewer or by reviewer or by the examiner. So also the figure and table should not be crowded, should be split, should be easy to understand, easy to comprehend by reviewers, and should be prepared in a consistent manner. That yes, this is like a trend is acceptable everywhere. So when it comes to writing result, um, uh, one has to understand like the way you present it. And before this, I want to us to look at this as step first. Result writing steps. There is this model ITRLHR model, which is used in writing your research. I mean, in writing your results. Once you have your results, first you need to understand that um, in a thesis and in a paper, there are different modes. For example, and the only difference is in a thesis, you need to explain more, while in a paper, you need to explain briefly. You explain briefly your results. Then it has to be into about five sections how you present it. That is the ITRLHR model. For example, you have your introductory sentence when you are writing your result. We give example here. We say that sodium content of altar brass species was significantly influenced by salinity, which is treatment. So you see here we use PST model, parameter subject treatment, PST model. parameter, subject, and treatment. So our parameter is sodium content of all turf grass, which is the subject, which is the focus of this per se result, was significantly influenced by salinity. Salinity is the treatment. So when we writing a result, then we need to understand this trend. So the second aspect is to see the trend, is it increasing or decreasing. So sodium content was decreased due to different salinity. That is, this depending on with your finding. So that means here we have parameter and treatment. Sodium was decreased due to salinity. Sodium in the parameter and salinity in the treatment. So also we consider a range of data. Sodium content range milligram per kg for treatment was 20 to 70 parameter and treatment. Um, then lowest finding, that is how to present your lowest finding. Then the T1, that is the treatment one, produced the lowest sodium content, followed by T5, produced 25 milligram per kg of sodium content. So you see, depending on what you have obtained during your analysis, either you this introductory sentence is constant for any result writing, depending on your finding. So also, if you want to present the trend, that is one increasing or decreasing or range of data, so you have to consider this, that you present, first you look at the parameter and then you look at the treatment. Then if you want to also present a highest findings, then you said highest, then like here we give example, we said that highest sodium content was found in treatment 8, 70 milligram per kg, followed by treatment 9, 60 milligram per kg. Then relative data increase, decrease compared to control. The highest sodium content increase was 50% from treatment 8 compared to the control. So I made mention during the discussion of the methodology that we said that if you have your control, you have your control plot, then you have split plot, randomized plot, maybe you have three plot. So in the control plot, you have your NPK applied in that particular crop. Then also if you have other two, three plots where you apply N, where you apply P, and the other one you apply K. So from there you can see that you can present your relative data or your relative findings where you have from treatment this and treatment this compared to the control treatment. So I want to go back to this example. If you want to present your result, for example, you have your table or you have your figure, and also you want to discuss the table or the figure or the findings. So first of all, if we are going for a thesis, then we know that we number it like 1.1, table 1.1, table 1.2, table 1.3, table 1.4, table 1.5, up to the number of tables. Then we have table 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, 5.4, 5.5. Because this citing this table is very important. Because when you say in the table 5.1, demonstrate the effect of different treatment on pH of the experimental soil. So we need to look at the table 5. Where in the table 5, then we look at the caption of the table, then we see table, then we look at what are the different treatments. Treatment 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up treatment 7 were used in the experiment, why T1 was considered as control. So from the table, we understand that yes, T1 is a control treatment. Then the pH in different treatment range from 6 to 7.5. The control group T1 had the lowest pH 6. So from there, we understand that yes, the control treatment had the lowest pH level. So this will give us an idea that yes, table 1 discusses this, table 1 present this. So but you need to like you need to quote the table, meaning quotation. You need to quote the table while writing the result. or maybe you can say in table 5 or refer to table 5.1, for example, or as stated in table 5.1. That is when you are discussing the findings of your findings. So it is very important to understand this, because, for example, in high impact journals and as well as the thesis, because normally the tradition is, when you submit to high quality journals, you find that the review process takes time. Why it takes time? Because they read your article word to word. They read it word to word. So maybe they read the introduction, then they leave it till another time. They read some part of the methodology, they read your research problem, they read your objectives, and whatever what you have. So it takes time because they read word to word. So if they found that you have table 5.1 and table 5.1 is not referred in the text, then also is another issue. For example, even if you have escaped that at the production level, they will not accept the manuscript. You have to go back and then cite table this and that, because they have sophisticated softwares detect almost everything in your paper, per se, particularly because I more give emphasis on the paper because it carry more weight, and in the easiest way where for example, in at university level, particularly outside Nigeria, you don't need to write conventional thesis. Conventional thesis in a way that you have your introduction, you have your literature review, you have methodology, results and discussion section, summary, conclusion, and recommendation. Basically, in outside Nigeria, where I know very well, when you go to Asia, Europe, and Australia, particularly, you can your objective number one can be a paper. Objective number two can be a paper. Objective number three, objective number four, all can be a paper. So instead of having conventional thesis, you have a paper thesis. So all you need is introduction. Introduction section where you have you introduce the concept, then statement of the research, objective research questions, objectives, statement of the research problem, significance of your study, all this that makes the chapter one. Then the chapter two can be a paper, chapter three can be a paper, chapter four can be a paper, five can be a paper, six can be a paper, and seven. That is how I did my PhD. My PhD was paper-based thesis, so I do not use conventional thesis because it has more advantage for you that this paper are your papers. But if you have a thesis, you just dump it in the library. But this paper are your papers, and you can use that to get postdoc. For example, when you are done with PhD, for example, and if at master's level, you can easily get PhD. So this is the importance of paper thesis, and also the university are going away from the tradition of thesis, but still we are not up to there in Nigeria per se or in Africa per se. So when we come to our objectives, for example, we have four objectives. We have objective number one, two, and three, and four. So usually we first achieve objective number one. We follow them in sequence. We achieve objective number one, which should be when discussing this objective should be like opposite of the introduction, because introduction was a funnel shaped. Uh, I don't know. Some of us were here last week, while others were not here. But the content and the lecture is available online. You can refer to it. So when discussing what you have achieved in the objective number one, it should be like opposite of the introduction. So you first look at the significant results, then you discuss from like a narrow, then you'll be expanding your discussion. you expand your discussion broadly, expanding, explaining. Because first you get your findings, then you start with the introduction sentence when discussing what we have achieved in the objective number one. So it should be like a reverse funnel shape. So you begin with the specific or significant result, that the most important one. You discuss it, then you'll be expanding your discussion. By doing so, you'll be attracting the attention of the reviewer or the examiner. So once he or she begin to read your results, then he might be interested in knowing what has happened. I want to know the details of this of the result. So she or she will be able to go through and read everything. Then also there is this model, RFMS model in also discussing your objective and result. This is why we discuss about the person importance and the tenses. For example, when discussing your the objective you have achieved, first you need to look at your reason for performing of the study on your own mode. For example, why I perform this study. First, you understand why to perform this study, because before you can be able to answer these questions, this question per se, you need to do what? Review the existing literature, what has been done and what has not been done, what are the gap. So that what you understand, that will give you a reading for performing this particular study. So when writing such a result, you need to give like person importance, how you give the importance, how you assign the importance of discussing that result. For example, reason for performing this study, you cannot assign like say 50%, but you assign a person importance depending on the context of your study. Like you give it 5%. If you give it 100%, then you like give it 5%, for example. The summary of the main significant finding, that the result, only the important parameter and dependent variable. So here you see we give like 50%. That is person importance. And then when discussing that our finding, you discuss a summary of the main significant findings. That is for paper, when you are writing paper article. But when you are writing a thesis, you clearly demonstrate, not summary, you give it in details, that the result. Then also interpret the result clearly and concisely with mechanism, social science factors with mechanism. Like I have internet interruption. Are you still with me?
Yes, doctor. We are
Yes,
together.
yes, we are
Okay.
with we are you. here.
Okay.
We are with you, sir.
Okay. I have a network interruption. So also when interpreting result clearly and concisely with the mechanisms, that is with the citations. When you are in interpreting your results, you need to consider also other studies, because you have read previous studies. There are other studies that are more closely related to your work. So relate these findings with those other similar studies. So you need to relate whether your study is similar to what have been done by Abdullahi, or what has been done by John. Is this similar or is contrary to what have been done by John, for example? But when you come to comparing your result, you have to bear in mind that particularly I give emphasis on journal, which are much more important for starters. When you compare your result with the findings of other people, you have to be very careful, particularly when you go to Q1, Q2 journals, because these people from Europe, from Asia, they do read papers. They do read papers actually. So when you want to compare your result with them, you need to look at their methodology. If they use similar methodology with their methodology, and then their finding is similar to yours or different to yours, you need to mention that in your discussion. That let's say Peter found that the concentration of ammonia is increasing due to the application per se of just an example, due to the application of let's say nitrogen, but he used social methodology. So but in our findings is contrary to what have been observed by Peter, because we found that this and so this but we use different methodology. You need to mention that, because if you don't mention that, it will create like a problem to you, because they will read the paper. Once you posted it online, either you posted it in ResearchGate, Google Scholar, or any other database, or if you publish in a Scopus, the Scopus will update the paper automatically into their database. So definitely, and also they mostly subscribe to those databases. So once you updated the article, they will be notified. If you are on let's say chemistry, physics, biology, for example, just general. So once you uploaded the paper on ecology, for example, or on 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 politics or whatever, they will see, they will get noticed, they will be notified, and they read much of these papers. So one has to be very careful and considering while also writing a result. I think I'm stuck somewhere. Uh, I lost my slides.
Oh, okay, but we can see your slide.
Okay. And I'm not able to move to the next slide. Next slide.
Oh, okay. The slide is moving now. Okay, you can go back to the tab.
Okay. It's okay now, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So still on this aspect, reason for performing of the study, that you use your own words. So you use your own word to explain why you are performing this study, like in the introductory aspect. So also you give a brief summary in the first tense, then interpretation. So for example, we give example here, we say biochar can hold more water than the soil and can hold nutrients. Biochar has been shown to increase crop yield. Application of biochar improves soil fertility. So the interpretation is, by increasing plant nutrients, pH, carbon and cation exchange capacity, commitment, and all the rest, this should be in present tense. We say due to the more N content in biochar treated soil, photosynthesis rate is higher than in unamended treatment. So this we caught what due to what have been said by M et al. 2019. Then here we said that we relate our finding to the similar studies. For example, we say our findings were consistent with Panwa et al. 2021, who reported a 35.82 increase in maize yield using biochar, 10 ton per hectare. So this one should be in the past tense because we are relating our finding with the findings of person. So this is what we should be looking at carefully. What we should be looking at carefully when interpreting our results clearly. There is background noise somewhere. Uh, so I don't know. Are we going to look at the the abstract? I think we look at the abstract. Then when we come next time, we look at the quality of review paper.
Okay, doctor. I think that's nice, but I think we should take questions from the audience and get feedback. Yeah, some of them I know definitely there are people having one or two questions based on your presentation so far.
Okay, so we can take question. Maybe we can
Yes.
use 5 minutes to look
To
at
our
the
audience,
abstract.
please, if you have question for doctor based on the presentation so far, you can signify it by raising your hand or you
Yes.
can open your mic and speak directly. I don't. So let's take it one after the other, please. So do we have questions for doctor? Or I believe everything is flowing well. We are getting all right, doctor. I don't think there's any question for you, but if there is, you can type your question on the chat board.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Someone can type his question.
yeah, we
Before
can.
the question, let me use just 3 to 5 minutes and discuss about abstract of a research
Okay.
article.
All right. All
So
right.
so when writing an abstract of a research article is particularly important aspect also because for the policymakers, they don't have time to read all your paper. They don't have time to do that. So normally, what they do is to read the abstract of your article. So in writing an abstract, there is IOMFR model, which is stand for Introduction, Objective, Brief Methodology, Recommendations. So for key findings and then recommendations. So all abstract contain five most important aspects. So first you need to for example here we say fertilizer effect on antioxidants, nutrient composition and yield of rice. So we know that rice is the subject of this study because rice is the focus. So and our keywords, last time we discussed about keywords, we said that keywords are words that stand alone and does not contain like prepositions, does not contain supporting words like effects, like efficacy, like on, and all these are not keywords. They are supporting words that make your titles to stand alone. So here our subject is rice. So we give person importance when writing an abstract like 10% of the words that contain in the abstract, we give it to introduction, for example. So by introducing the sentence, by introducing by giving an introductory point, for example, you discuss about parameters in just 2 3 sentences. You introduce the subject like rice. Then the objective of the study. You need to present the objective of what are the objective of this research. Then after the introductory sentence, then you write that the objective of this study is to examine the impact of climate change on rice production, for example. Or you can rather put it, our objective is to understand how climate change impacting rice production. You see, just like objective is a very specific. That because you want to achieve something very specific, so you give percent importance 5. That is like 5%, 5% importance of the total words. Then you talk about methodology in the past. Then you discuss your methodology, briefly a methodology that you use in your article or in your thesis. Then you briefly discuss the methodology you use and how you achieve your result, yeah, I mean your findings or your results. Then you present the key findings. In the key findings, you look at the parameter. What are the parameters you look into? For example, I give you example of we want to look at the impact of climate parameters like temperature, precipitation, rainfall, and the rest. So you bring the key findings in that. What are the impact of temperature on rice production? What are the impact of rainfall on rice production? Then you harmonize them. You give it 50% importance because this is what we are looking at. We want to see what you have achieved, what we have found new that has not been known by other previous scientists, for example. Then you give recommendation in present form. That you give recommendation that what can be done to improve or to adapt the impact of this climate change on rice production. So this by this you holistically have your own abstract, which will be read and will catch the attention of the readers. Because if the abstract does not contain these five key important aspects, then that means that something is lacking in the abstract. So the stakeholders will only be able to read this. By reading this, they say, yes, this is what we have. And then possibly they might have the intention of going through, but although normally policymakers they don't have time to go through papers, then also it can pass through another stage, and also other scientists will take from where you stop and they can expand also. So usually 10, 8 to 10 sentences, usually 200 to 250 words uh, for publication, that is for journal articles. That and also it is only one paragraph in abstract. You have only one paragraph in your abstract. So normally some journals will tell you 200 words for the abstract or 250 words. So usually you stay within this range, 200 to 250 words. I think we will stop. Okay, this is another typical example by one of our friend Ahmed Numeri and also Associate Prof. Kamaluddin. So we see here the impact of organic
Okay,
amendment.
excuse me, doctor.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that there's a question for you. It's
Okay, go
from
ahead.
Okay Margaret. So
Okay.
the question is, he said on the chat box, he said, how do you get all these percentages, sir?
Okay. How do you get this percentage? Is it comes from your mind. For example, the percent importance. Let me go back. Let's see. For example, if you total this percent importance, I think it will give you 100. So hypothetically, in your mind, you'll be able to like understand, yes, what are the major important, for example, of the abstract. The most important part of the abstract is your findings, then methodology, then introduction and recommendation, then objectives. For example, it does not make sense that you spend half of your abstract writing the introduction. So you get it from your mind that you assign person importance. Why we give this as a guide, basically how to be. You have each step of your writing, you give it 100%. So You look at introduction contains 10% because you want to address you want to introduce the subject that the focus of the research. Then the objective is just like one line or 1.5 line. Then you give it 5% importance. This per se like is constant. You can make it like constant whenever you are writing your article. Then also methodology, you give it 25% because it's a treatment and you need to like expand and briefly explain it. Then what the key findings, that is the major part of the abstract, you give it 50%. The recommendation 10%. This is like it comes from your mind. That like it's a guideline here which you need to follow while writing your abstract. It's not like it has been basically stated that this must be this must be that, must be that. No, you assign the percent importance you yourself as a researcher. You're able to think, understand, and also you find the idea from those that have gone through the process before you. So you'll be able to allocate the percent importance so that you can be able to present it in a good way, in a scientific manner, and accepted by all and sundry. Hope I answer your question.
Yes, Prof. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. You're welcome.
Okay, doctor, there's another question.
Okay.
It's from Basharomola. So he said, how do we get a good research work? And can one research work, can one research, okay, can one work on an existing research work? So this is a bit dicey. So how do we get a good research work? And can one work on an existing research work?
Okay, how do we get a good research work?
Yes. And can one work on an existing research?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Definitely, to understand a good research work, first, for example, when you want to, if you are looking for a thesis or for a journal, for example, to understand this, yes, this is a quality thesis or this is a quality journal. First, you look at the publisher of the journal. For example, when you see an article usually from Elsevier, article from Springer, article from Taylor and Francis, article from De Gruet, article from usually those journals that are indexed in Scopus are high quality articles. They pass through peer review process, and usually the peer review process is anonymous and blind review process. You don't know the reviewer, and the reviewer does not know who are the authors. You understand? Once you submit your article, they will ask you to submit the title page, and they will also ask you to submit the article with the title, that is the manuscript with the title per se. So they will not send them the title page, but they will identify the reviewers. You as a who submit manuscript for review, you don't know who are the reviewers, and also the reviewers they don't know you because your name is not there on the manuscript. So you see, it's anonymous process, and usually these journals they don't accept money for publication. The publication is free of charge. You understand? So that is why it takes time, and the reviewer they have to review the article thoroughly. You understand? So from there, you'll be able to understand, yes, these articles are high quality articles. That's number one. The process, I mean, because you may not know that. So when you want to download high quality articles, you go to Scopus database, you go to the Web of Science database. There you can have high quality articles, no doubt in that. What are the other part of the question? Okay, how can you work on existing research, right? Hello?
Yes, sir. So
Oh,
yes,
okay.
that's the second question. He said, can one work on an existing research?
Yeah, definitely sure. One can work on existing research. For example, what aspect of research is what is his specialization? For example,
Okay. I think we can invite in Mr. Abashorum. Please, you can omit your mic so that you can respond to doctor. Thank you, sir.
mm,
Uh,
because
I guess
yeah,
it's not responding.
yeah, okay. Let me just give a typical example, but I wanted to use his specialization so that I can give examples so that he can get the idea clearly.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. For example, if you are working on for example, if you are working on the impact of climate change, for example, on rice production in Nigeria, for example, this research has been done by someone, for example, let's say from University of Lagos. He studied the impact of climate change on rice production in Abeokuta, for let's say in 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 Lagos State, for example. Let's say he studied the impact of climate change on rice production in Lagos State. So one can replicate similar study like that. You can do similar study in different region. For example, you can do the same study in Maiduguri, I mean in Borno State. You can do the same study because the geographical settings is different. So definitely you must find something new in Borno, which is totally different from what is happening in Lagos. You understand? Okay, probably quantitative work.
Okay. I think he posted a text now. He said probably a
Yeah,
quantitative
yeah,
research
yeah,
work.
yeah. I see. I see. So once you are dealing with large data, that is quantitative work. For example, let me give a similar case. If you want to see the impact of climatic variables, for example, on rice, we know that the geographical settings and the geographical conditions of Lagos is particularly different from the geographical conditions in in Maiduguri or in Yobe State. I mean in Borno State or in Yobe State. But in both places, they are producing rice. So one will be able to look at major key importance since we're looking at the climatic variables, for example. We look at rainfall, temperature, precipitation, humidity, and wind, for example. So the kind of temperature in Lagos is totally different with the kind of temperature in Borno State or Yobe State. The amount of rainfall received in Lagos is totally different from the amount of rainfall received in Borno State. The kind of wind, the movement of wind is totally different, and the relative humidity is totally different, which is obvious that it is very high in Lagos and is very low in Borno State. So this, if you have the quantitative data, let's say for 30 years, the record of this climatic variable for 30 years, you can get it from NIMEX, for example, the one in Lagos State and the one in Borno State. Then you do regression with rice yield, for example, the rice yield obtained in Borno State and the rice yield obtained in Lagos State. So, but you see that is similar study that have been done in Lagos and still can be replicated in Borno State. That is one angle it also. You can also use apply different methodology. The methods someone use a regression analysis somewhere in Lagos. Then also you can apply different methodology in Borno State. But same similar study. So the application of this different methodology will give you a work novelty. That is where the novelty comes in. So you apply different treatment to achieve a different result, different from what has been done by another person. So that makes your work noble. I do hope I answer your question. Thank you.
Okay, okay, thank you, doctor.
Yeah,
That's
thank
very
you.
nice. So I have a question personally,
All right.
and is related to the quality
Hmm.
of research being obtained here. So you mentioned along your presentation that researchers should focus on publishing in Q1 and Q2 journals, which are the high ranked journals. And of course, as a researcher, that should be your target. But
Hmm.
there are certain limitations across our environment, especially in Nigeria, where
Hmm.
there's limitation in funding and in resources. So now, do you think that is possible if researchers could work with publishers in having a sustainable model, a sustainable publishing model whereby quality can be achieved easily, and again the over dependence on international or the large publishers can be reduced, whereby you focus on, I believe we are we especially at ATA Press, there's a belief that we have is that there's no shortage when it comes to the human resources, to the quality of researchers that we could get from our environment. I think the major problem is infrastructure and the motivation. So is there a way whereby we could establish something like that where is going to be a win-win situation for all the stakeholders, as a publisher and as a researcher? Everybody can have a win-win model. Is that something that you think could be a key?
Yes. Thank you, Abdul, for this question. It's a very interesting question. You see, those that have already established themselves in the academic publication uh, is because of the dedication. What we have in Nigeria is not like the the absence or the lack of researchers or the quality research. Is totally different. But for example, the publishing houses we have, they are not after the quality. They are after the money. You understand? For example, there are journals that are existing since 1982, for example, in Nigeria, but they are yet to apply for index in Scopus. You pay them money to publish your research work, but they are not willing to improve themselves by following the global trend. For example, what I could remember, there is one journal on agricultural extension. I think the journal is based in, I think, Ilorin. Ilorin. That journal, I think, is the only journal I know that is indexed in Scopus in agri. That is to my knowledge. In terms of in the field of agriculture in Nigeria, the only journal that is indexed in Scopus. So, but they have the determination. So, if we can apply for the indexing, our journals can get there. But the publishers, like, they are not interested in that. So, pushing to that will improve, will changes the mindset of our publishers that we have in Nigeria. But I don't know why, they don't have interest in going for Scopus, from Scopus going to SCI. So, for example, in the from what I have discussed with you in the ATA press, you already have the determination that yes, you wanted to change the tradition of publication in Nigeria. That is why you come up with this idea because you are after the quality. So, and so from you guys, people can learn that yes, in 2 years after you have started publishing journals in 2 years, then you can apply for to be indexed in Scopus, which you pay some money, and also they review your what we have done within that 2 years. So by the time your paper is, I mean your journal is indexed under Scopus, you get also submission from all over, all part of the world, all over the world. You get submission. People will submit your paper because they first look at, yeah, we this ATP press they have journal on environmental sciences, for example. Then before they submit their manuscript, then they have to look at, they have to do background check because outside Nigeria, if the minimum paper accepted is to be indexed in Scopus. If you publish a paper that is not indexed in Scopus, then you will not be promoted. You will not get promotion to another level. So that is the minimum accepted standard. So once they discover that this journal, ATA Press Journal, yeah, they have Journal of Environmental Sciences and index under Scopus, I'm telling you, you get submissions from Europe, you get submission from US, from Australia, from all over part of the world. But for you to get indexed in Scopus, it takes 2 years. 2 years of publication, 2 years of publication. So after that 2 years, once the paper is indexed in Scopus, the 2 years that you publish these papers also, that papers that papers you publish up 2 years prior to indexing, they will still exist in Scopus also. So, but our publishers, particularly those journals from the university, after now, some of the journals are not online. Still, they are publishing uh, hard copies, submitting hard copies. They send it to you. You pay for transportation. Where they will send it to you through. You go to motor park, collect it there. All these things like that. Still, there are journals like that in our settings, which they under this uh, 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 globalization is changed significantly. So, in your own case, I can see that you want to make significant difference, and I do hope you
Yes,
make it.
yes. Yes, yes. Thank you for that, and I appreciate that. So there's a unique challenge that I want to share with you, and I would like to hear from the audience as well, based on this. There's a unique challenge now when it comes to academic publishing. Of course, everybody is looking for uh, the international tag in their publication, and of course, you can offer that. We are even offering that. That's our focus, but there's a unique challenge and it's in partnership, it's in collaboration. For example, now I've worked with personally I've worked with an international publisher from South Africa, and over the years, based on my experience, it's always easier to get their local researchers and scholars, as well as the international scholars, to partner to collaborate with them, even when they are floating a new journal. So and you definitely get submissions. You dey get that, and because you get there's that support from the local ecosystem. But when it comes to Nigeria, the it seems like a complicated adventure because some majority of them are interested, but they are also not interested. They are interested in the way that they want to contribute, but there's this I couldn't place it well. I couldn't place it, but I wanted to ask. I've asked few people and they've tried to dodge it. And the issue is that why is it that it looks like a foreign idea when it comes to collaborating with the scholars, with the researchers, people that have this expertise, that have this understanding of what it takes to produce quality and impactful research. Why is it that it's always very hard for them to collaborate with you? For example, now as you said, definitely we are trying to solve some serious problem and we are trying to contribute to the global academia and especially we are focusing on the African market. But the issue is these people doesn't they don't they know they understand what we are trying to do, but there's this problem of trying to connect with each other. So I wanted to ask that is there a framework that we could adopt here at TC Press? For example, now we have about 10 journals that are yet to be launched. and underground you are looking for editors and reviewers for these journals. And I'm trying to share our one of the key problem that we are having is this trying to get this collaboration with these people. Is there a way that we could restructure it to make it to be more to see so that they could understand what we are trying to do more clearly? Are there
Yeah,
strategies for
yeah. I understand you. But first, I want to know that when you are referring to collaborators, are collaborators from Nigeria or outside Nigeria, which are difficult to get, to convince to come and work together.
no, I think the major problem has been the collaboration from the local from people
Okay,
usually people from
from the
yes,
local researchers.
yes.
Okay. Before I attend to that, this kind of work, um, it has never been an easy thing to do, and it needs dedication, time, commitment, and patience.
Mm,
So normally, to my understanding, our local researchers, first they will look on issues on what are they going to get from the collaboration. I'm not sure about that, but probably they might be thinking, so if I collaborate, what am I going to get? They might be thinking of that. And then also, if you connect with the Nigerian lecturers also, uh, depending on their workload, in Nigeria you can take you can take 1,000 students, uh, sometimes 500, and you still be label coordinator. Sometimes you still be HOD, or in examination office, and the rest. This is another factor, and also you can be a visiting lecturer in different state universities, maybe per se, or you engage in other businesses. But notwithstanding, to me, I would suggest that you target young lecturers. When you target young lecturers, they want to grow in the academia and they want to establish their profiles. Understand? So from there, yeah, you understand. So you can get that, but there is also another issue. You need experience once also. So to me, you not only you collaborators from Nigeria, you can approach others from other countries, particularly in Asia and Europe. There you can have more, and you can have mutual understanding with them, and like they are more responsive. They can easily respond to your email. They will give you audience. They will give you their time to discuss more about what you are intended to do, and they will also give more guide to it. But in Nigerian setting, sometimes the lecturer doesn't have access to internet, or maybe or doesn't have access to electricity and other issues. Uh, but still, there are, yeah, there are problem here and there. Yeah, but still you keep on pushing.
yes,
This
yes.
has
I
never been
understand.
has
I
never been
understand.
easy. This has never been easy actually.
Yes,
It
yes,
takes time, but once once the ATA press is well established, you see that thing will open. You understand?
yes, sir.
But it
All
takes
right.
time actually, and you need to be patient also.
All right. So we want to thank you again for your time and your contributions, your expert teachings on this technique. Personally, I've gained a lot,
Mm.
and I believe that a lot of people will still gain a lot of knowledge about it. So someone asked that will the recording will be available? Yes, of course, it will be available. We'll post the link. We'll add the link to the website, and we have your emails, your contacts, so we'll forward it. You can have it at any time. So, and again, probably